Former attorney in the Trump White House General Counsel's Office for President Trump, Mae Davis, with us now. Is there anything Bob said you really disagreed with?
No, I think that's right. I would be a little bit probably stronger with agreeing that the president can classify or declassify at will. I think you can point to Supreme Court cases that say that. But I think I agree with you, which is that this isn't really about classification. And it really is, if it is about the Espionage Act, about whether there's national defense related material, and then the president's state of mind in removing those materials and what he planned to do with them. And those are huge, huge questions that are really unanswered at this point.
I never like arguing with people who are smarter than me or people who are lawyers and I'm not. But at least as I read the Espionage Act statute, especially retention of these documents, once you're asked for them and you don't give them up, you are now in violation. It doesn't matter what your state of mind is or why you decide to have them, why you have them in the first place, or why you want to keep them.
Well, it depends. It depends on whether the documents are in their rightful spot. So if he says, you know, these are unclassified documents, these are my documents, these are my mementos, you know, you're saying that they're national defense information or that somehow they're not in the right spot. But I disagree with that. Like, this is my cocktail napkin. This is my letter to.
Oh, come on, Mae. It's one thing if this is my thank you note to the president of France. It's another thing if it's something marked TSSCI. I mean, each thing that is marked that has gone through a process, even if it was declassified. At one point, people thought that these were incredibly important secrets to the United States government and to all of us.
Well, if it is declassified, then it is in the right spot, right? Like it doesn't need to be in a SCIF. It's not TSSCI. It's not. It might have that marker on it. It might have used to be, but it's not anymore. Plus, if you look at all the boxes of things that they took, you know, it includes not only TSSCI, but top secret, and then just regular sensitive information.
Information. Right. Okay. So
nothing.
What is the chance here as we play this out, okay? And as we said at the top, it's very difficult because Team Trump is not always the most candid in how they describe things. You don't need to respond. And at the same time, the FBI has shown a zealousness, shall we say, about going after the former president when he was president and before that. But you think about this timeline. How is it that the FBI comes and says, hey, we want everything that was ever marked TSSCI, we want anything that's marked secret or top secret, and they don't give it back? It seems to be that we're missing some distance here.
Yeah, and I think actually the timeline to me indicates that the documents weren't that bad, because if they really were, then as soon as, you know, Trump didn't hand them over, you would have seen action. You would have seen the warrant then. And even the warrant itself gave a really wide time frame to go get the documents. And then the FBI waited 2 days after that. So if these are documents that they cannot be in public, then you're not going to wait several months after starting investigations, and you're not going to wait several days after receiving the search warrant. So, you know, to me, the timeline, the thing that it really is confusing is, are these documents a big deal? Because if they were, why wait?
Yeah, no, it is confounding when you think about that. At the same time, there's this report that there was a confidential informant who led the FBI to this. My old network, Fox News, reports that it was a member of the Secret Service. So you could have somebody in late July say to the FBI, hey, there's more stuff here than what we thought, right? We have to leave that possibility open.
Right. And I still think then you still have the question of the 2 days after asking for the warrant.
Right. This is that the warrant was signed on Friday and executed on Monday.
Exactly, and had a really wide time frame of when it could be executed, when they could actually do the search, which is through August 19th. I think that having that really broad time frame really shows that this is about collecting documents, not about preserving our national security. And I think there have been some indications that this is more, you know, in in FBI's mind of a criminal investigation rather than national security. And if it really was national security.
It's interesting you say that, because Karine Jean-Pierre, who's been trying to turn herself into pretzels to say, I'm not going to comment on this, she actually called it a criminal investigation from the White House podium, not a national security one. It's a great point. Hey, May, it's good to see you. We appreciate it, as always. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.